If you look at AI as a giant boss fight, the obvious question is, who's going to end up as the technological leader of the future? America or China? Right now, the best frontier AI models are being built in the United States by companies like OpenAI and Anthropic. But China's DeepSeek is not that far behind in quality, and it's dramatically cheaper. The twist is that the real winner in the AI race may not be the one who builds the strongest models, but the one who learns to actually use them better than everyone else. In the West, there's a common stereotype. Chinese firms are good at inventing things on paper, but bad at actually deploying them at scale. In the 2010s, roughly half of all patents in the world were being filed in China. In one WIPO-based ranking, China ranks high for creating innovation, but much lower for turning it into real-world implementation. People usually blame China's relative closeness, a heavy political system, and distorted incentives in the economy. By contrast, the US has a long track record of not just inventing things, but actually rolling them out globally. So many analysts assume AI will follow the same pattern, a core technology that spreads faster in the United States and more slowly across a less digitized Chinese economy. But that American advantage is not as clear as it looks. China has been climbing in implementation rankings, and Chinese consumers buy far more electric cars and home robots than Americans do. Stock indices built by Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley to track AI winners tell a similar story. Chinese AI indices have been beating their local markets, while comparable US indices have lagged behind. On the other hand, US companies still spend much more on automation and business software. Giants like Microsoft are already baking AI directly into the tools that corporate workers use every day. China's business software market is roughly 10 times smaller than America's, but prices are lower because competition between developers is brutal, and open source is used far more widely. So the picture is messy. The US has more money and more enterprise software, while China has lower prices, more open source, and a dense swarm of local vendors. One way to get past the theory is simply to ask firms what they're doing. Surveys suggest that about half of large and mid-sized companies in China already use AI, compared with roughly a third in the US. Other studies find that a bigger share of workers in China use AI tools in their daily jobs, and that more Chinese companies have already drawn up some sort of AI adoption policy. The Chinese Communist Party is also actively pushing state agencies to adopt AI. A large share of DeepSeek's usage inside China reportedly comes from government bodies. These systems are already parsing medical records, answering citizen questions, and even helping to search for missing people in huge databases. On the consumer side, Chinese users seem more willing than Americans to try new AI products, partly because intense competition has made most local chatbots free. There's also less nostalgia for the pre-digital past, because that past was much poorer than America's, and many Chinese AI models show their reasoning steps, which helps build trust. In the US, legal risk is a much bigger brake on adoption. Companies worry constantly about lawsuits over copyright and privacy when they roll out new AI tools. Because the US uses a precedent-based legal system, and there are still few AI court cases, firms often choose maximum caution, while China faces fewer of these constraints. On both sides, big platforms are racing to integrate AI. Tencent with WeChat, ByteDance with TikTok, and Google and Meta with their ecosystems. But awareness differs. Surveys suggest that only around 40% of Americans know which products they use rely on AI, compared with more than 80% of Chinese respondents. The next front is industry, and here the contrast is even sharper. Only a tiny share of US AI venture funding goes into industrial applications, compared with a much larger share in China. China now accounts for around 30% of global manufacturing, has more robots per worker than most rich countries, and is trying to move up another level by building AI into factories, cars, and even humanoid robots.